Hello, welcome to C language tutorials. I am Rajendra here. So far we are discussing preprocessor directives. What is preprocessor directive means? Compiler plus and linker will interact together to give a executable file is called preprocessor, and before compiling one process is called, this process is called preprocess. So we discussed what is preprocessor, what are the preprocessor directives, and today we discuss what are the features of preprocessors. Features of preprocessors are first expanding the macros and expanding the files and file inclusions. These are the features of preprocessor directives. We have three types features. Features are expanding macros, next expanding files, file inclusions. These are the features of preprocessor directives: expanding the macros, expanding the files and file inclusions. These three topics we will discuss in this session. So generally in preprocessor directives there are two types. Two types of preprocessor directives. One is hash include, second one is hash define. Hash include and hash define, these are the two types we use the preprocessor directive while we are writing the C program. Hash include nothing but we are including the header file, library files. All the code will be substituted at the time of the execution time by using the hash include. So all the header files will write here. Not only header files, if you have already defined any functions, that can be reused by using the hash include. So write one function in any program and save it and with your own file name, and you can include that file also. Rewriting code can be avoided by using the hash include header files. So no need to write the printf and scanf logics here, because already available in the library files. Simply we are writing the include. Include is a keyword. Include means all the code related to that file will be included at the place of the function call. Here hash is a symbol, number symbol, which converts the predefined code into the machine level language, zeros and ones. That is a symbol of the hash. This is for header files, and this is for macros. We use the hash define. Define is a keyword. This include and define are the keywords. Include means substituting the code, header files code, library functions code is substituted at the place of the function call. Next, define is a macro call. Now, don't ask what is macro call. Now we are going to discuss in details about the macros. So these are the two types. One is hash include, second one is hash define. And hash include and define are the predefined words, means reserved words, means keywords. So hash symbol is a number sign. Hash is a number sign, means before compiling with this that code is converted into the zeros and ones. For that purpose we use the hash. So, we use now we will talk about the hash. Just you can see here for the explanation about the hash symbol. Here it starts with a number sign, that is hash, okay, and it is an instruction to the compiler. It is an instruction to the compiler which converts into the zeros and ones for the predefined code, function code. So, first hash include, now we are talking hash include, now we are talking means header files we are discussing now. Hash include stdio.h. This header file is used for the printf and scanf. The meaning of this one is printf is scanf and printf are the predefined functions, and which is defined in stdio.header file. This is the name of the file, file name, and this is extension. H denoted H resembles for the predefined files. Already if it is defined, that is that will be extension will be .h. If it is already we are defining, we will write the .c. .c means it is a user defined file extension. .h means it is a predefined file extension in C language. Printf and scanf are the predefined functions and which is defined in stdio.h. Printf means whenever this function is called, whatever this function is called, whatever the code is available in the printf function definition, that definition will be substituted here, included in the place of the function call. In the same fashion, scanf function also, whenever this function is called, whatever the code is available in the scanf function definition, that code is defined here. That means already available one code is available in the printf function is defined, and scanf function also defined, where the file name is stdio.h. This is the file name. So, whenever this function is called, all the codes is substituted here. Code is substituted at the place of the function call. In the same fashion, this is also same thing. All the code, whatever the code is available in the scanf function, this is the definition of the scanf function. This is a function call, and printf is also function call. So, code is available here. This code is substituted here because of the include. Okay. Next, in the another file is also there, that is maths.h. Hash include math.h. Math.h. So, for mathematical functions, we use a math function. For the mathematical functions, we use a math.h. For example, sine of x, cos of x. No need to do these calculations here. Automatically, it is a function call. So, before calling this sine and cos and etc., we must include the header file. This is called mathematical functions. Mathematical functions. Next, another header file we use regularly, that is hash include console input output dot header file. Console input output dot header file. Okay, where do we use for CLR SCR function and getCH function are predefined in conio.h. Conio.h means console input output dot header file. So, whenever you are while you are using the CLR function, it must be included the header file, that is conio.h. Whenever you are calling the getCH function, it must be included the header file, that is conio.h. If you are using once this header file, you can related function calls you can write number of times here. Hope you understood. For string handling functions, we use the string.h. For string handling functions, we use string.h. This is for string handling functions. For string handling functions, we use the string.h. Next, another header file is there, that is alloc.h. These concepts we will discuss in the latter. Hash include alloc.h. This is for dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation point of view, we use the alloc.h, that is malloc function, calloc function and free function. Whenever you are calling these functions, you must use the alloc.h. These are concepts of the dynamic memory allocation. These we will discuss in the next future sessions. Okay, you just listen this one, but don't worry about these malloc function and calloc function. As of now, we are not discussing. Generally, it is used in the dynamic memory allocation. Just remember that dynamic memory allocations. And programming point of view and in details, we will discuss in details later. So, when a predefined function is called, that is, it may be printf and scanf or getch. Any predefined function is called, okay, that includes the corresponding files. It includes the corresponding files, that is stdio.h, math.h, conio.h, before calling the functions. This before calling the functions only, these files will be included into the current program, that is done by the hash include stdio.h. Include means includes the before calling these functions, before calling the functions, it includes the corresponding files. Example, stdio.h, conio.h, math.h, so and so. So, before calling the these functions, all the files will be included into the current program. That is the meaning of the include. So it must be included before calling this one. If I am not writing this one, I will get the error here. If I am not writing the math.h, I will get the error here. If I am not writing the conio.h, we will get the error here. So it must be included before calling the predefined functions. Bottom line is, before calling the predefined functions, corresponding header files must be included into the current program. కాల్ చేసే ముందే ఈ హెడర్ ఫైల్స్ అనేది రాసుకోవాలి. సో ఇది రాయలేదనుకో మనకి ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ వన్. సో I cannot call this function without including the header files. I cannot call the file without including the header files. All the functions of a file substituted in the program. All the functions of the file are substituted in the program when file is included. All the functions of a file are substituted in the current program when the file is included. The file means here header file, that is it may be stdio.h or conio.h or string.h or maths.h. Next we go for the macros. Macros means, how do we define the macros? Now we have to see the following things. Macros. So here first, what is the syntax of the macros? Definition of the macros. Definition of the macros, syntax, third one, example. Okay, where should we use the macros? These are the three things we have to learn now. Now how to define the macros? A macro is a value or expression or a group of statements. Macro means it's a value or expression or a group of statements is called macros. Macros means substitution. It is just like a function call. If a macro call is also there. Whenever the macro call is there, all the substitute whatever you define the macros into the current call, wherever you call that one. How do we define the macros? Means we write the macros like this: #define macro name substitution. This is the macro syntax. So example, macro means we know that it may be a expression, the substitution may be a expression, or value, or group of statements. Here a macro name is as a expression or value or group of statements. This is the macro call. Okay. If you see the example one program or any you can see easily. For example, #define, I am writing the example. This is a syntax and this is the example. example. As defined, this is a macro call 3.17149 something value is there. Here wherever you use the PI, this value will be substituted. That is the meaning of this one. And this macro is defined by as defined. I am defining the macro of substitution value. Here this value may be value or expression or any group of statement you can write here. And as directive, this it is also one directive. As directive is used to tell the computers preprocessor to substitute for the value to the current program. Throughout the program, this value will be substituted wherever you use this macro call pi. So why I am writing the pi value means I know the pi value, it won't change. Pi value won't change throughout the value, throughout the program. So this value remains a constant. Okay. Macro means a value, constant value only we write. I cannot increment or decrement or modify this value whenever you define the macros. Okay. Throughout the program, this pi value will be 3.17149 only. So this as directive is used to tell the preprocessor to substitute the another throughout the program, and generally macro names we give the capital letters. Macro names we give the capital letters, uppercase letters. It's nothing wrong if you give the lowercase letter also, but generally we use the uppercase letters. Uppercase letters we use for the macro call. You can give the lowercase letter also, it is not a rule, only it is a naming convention, that is uppercase letters. You can see this PPT, you will understand. This is the syntax. As defined macro name value. As defined, this is the example, as defined pi 3.14159. So wherever the pi value is there, so value will be substituted. Okay, before compiling this program. Before compiling this program only, value is substituted. Here this pi is a macro call. Here define is a keyword while we are defining the macros. We have to give one space in between the macro call and the value. Here 3.14159 is the value of the pi, and this is a macro definition for pi. Pi value 3.14159. So throughout the program, the value remains a constant, that is 3.14159, wherever you use the pi value. So as is a preprocessor directive. Here as is a preprocessor directive. As define is used to define the macros. To define the macros, we use the keyword as define. Here as is a preprocessor directive. I will write one simple program so that you can easily understand the macros. Hash include stdio.h hash define, this is a macro definition, hash define. I am writing here PF, just simple PF and printf. Next I am writing another define scanf. Okay, here I am defining one macros, void main into A comma B comma C. Printf capital PF I am writing, because whatever you define here, enter two values. Scanf %d ampersand A ampersand B, C equal to A plus B. Printf %d C. If I am not writing these two statements, I will get the error here. If you are defining the macros, wherever the PF is there, it is replaced with, wherever the PF is there, it is replaced with printf. In the same fashion, wherever the scanf is there, SF is there, it is replaced with scanf. Okay, so that whatever it time is reduced for me. If it is a lengthy statement is there, if a lengthy name is there, so we can make it shortcut. So if it is a lengthy name, I can make it shortcut by using the macros. So wherever that shortcut is there, that is substituted throughout the program, but not the other program. Only into the current program only that printf will be substituted. This is happens before compiling. For that only we are saying that it is a preprocessor directive. Here hash is a preprocessor directive. Hash define is a macro definition. I hope you understood. This is the example for the macros. This is the example for the macros. PF and scanf, PF and SF. Because I define, this is my name. You can write instead of PF any name, but you have to write here. This is a macros. Macro call. This is the actual value. Another example also we see here, that is for the we have seen that pi value is 3.14159. I have defined the pi value here. Here I have defined means it is a macro call. This is a macro. So wherever I use a pi value, that is replaced with 3.14159. Area equal to pi into r into r. Why we have to write, instead of writing the pi, we can write 3.14159, right? But is pi anedi more readable. It's more readable and understandable. Pi value anedi manam 5th 6th class నుండి నేర్చుకుంటూ వస్తూనే ఉన్నాం. Pi value 3.141 అని అంటే pi అంటే ఈజీగా అర్థమవుతుంది. Instead of 3.14159. We know that area formula is pi into r square, pi r square. So I can write easily, it is more readable. Pi is a macro call here. So macro call is nothing but a substitution. Macro call is nothing but a substitution. Wherever that is called, that is substituted with that value. So it must be defined before calling. That is 3.14159 is substituted for the macro call Pi. 3.14159 is substituted for the macro call pi. Another point is macros are pre-processed. Macros are pre-processed before compilation. Remember that all these things are happened before compilation only, because it is a pre-processed, pre-process. Before processing that code only we are doing this operation, that is pre-processed. How can we identify that it is a preprocessor? Means we are defining by using the hash. Another example for the macros, hash define a5. What is the meaning of this one? Wherever the a is there, phi is replaced. Wherever the a is there, phi is replaced. So here capital A is the macro call, phi is a value. So remember one thing, that macro value is nothing but a constant. Next, here you just check these statements. Int a equal to 10, a int a equal to 10 means 10 is stored into variable a, no problem here. Second statement, capital A plus plus. Capital A plus plus means I am trying to modify the macro value, so it leads to error, because whenever you are defined in a macros value, that is remains a constant throughout the program. Here a means constant value phi only, I cannot modify this phi value, so it leads to error. It leads to error. How can you modify it if it is a constant? So it leads to error. For a small a plus plus is okay, because it is a variable. Variable means it is not a constant. That value can be incremented or decremented, or you can modify anything. So here you just read this one, macro is a symbolic constant. Macro is a symbolic constant, so capital A plus plus cannot be modified. Capital A plus plus cannot be modified, but variables can be modified. But variables can be modified, but not the macros. What is the advantage of macros? Advantage of macros, it is more clarity and better readability. First advantage of the macro is more clarity and better readability. Okay. Instead of writing the 3.17149, if I am writing the pi value, it is more clarity for me, because pi means everyone knows. That is a value of the we can identify. It is a pi r square means it is a area formula. Everyone knows. If I am writing some value means it is not in clarity, and it is moreover it is more shortcut. We can easily readable and better understandability. So example you can see here, hash define true 1, hash define false 0, hash define true 1, hash define false 0. That means wherever the true is there, 1 is replaced. Wherever the false is there, 0 is replaced. So here just check this code. If condition is true, return true means 1 is returned. If the condition false, 0 is returned. Here the true is more readable and clarity, instead of writing the 1 and 0. Instead of writing 1 and 0, it is more clarity if you write the true or false. So it is clarity and better readability whenever you are using the macros. So wherever the true is there, that is replaced by 1. Wherever the false is there, that is replaced by 0. That is the meaning of the macro here. So, macro generally we write the capital letters. If you write the small letters also, it is nothing wrong. So, it is better to use true and false instead of 1 and 0. So, it is more clarity in a program. It is better to use true and false instead of writing the 1 and 0. So, it is more clarity in the program. So, true means everyone can understand with clarity, false means everyone can understand with clarity. If I am writing 1 and 0, it leads to confusion. 1 means what and 0 means what. Only technical people, only that programmer only can understand that one. So, some wherever the complications are there, for more clarity we use the macros. Next, second advantage, updation becomes so simple. Updation becomes so simple by using the macros. Hash define minimum balance 500. So, wherever the minimum balance is there, 500 is replaced. Hash define $70. Wherever the dollar is there, 70 is replaced in the throughout the program. It is better to use true and false instead of instead of writing the 500 and 700, every time we can write the minimum balance and dollar. So, everyone can easily understand. Minimum balance means, if I am writing the 500 means only the programmer only can understand. And next advantage is we can use the shortcut names for the lengthy function names. We can use the shortcut names for the lengthy function names. Example, define pf printf. So, instead of writing the entire printf, simply I am writing the pf here. Pf means printf. So, before using the pf only, we must define what is printf means. Pf is replaced by printf in the program. This is only applicable for the current program. I cannot write pf in some other program without defining the macros. Then that moment it leads to error. Next, file inclusions. Next is file inclusion. What is file inclusion? All the functions in the file inclusion means all the functions in the file, it may be stdio.h, it may be conio.h, it may be maths.h, it may be string.h. All the functions in the file are substituted when a file is included in the program. It is a preprocessor which is expanding the files, stdio.h means just look here, stdio.h means it is a expanding the files. Expanding the files. So, wherever this file is there, that all the code is expanded into the current program, substituted, all the functions are available, whatever the functions are available in the stdio.h, all the functions are substituted into the current program. Means stdio.h means it contains the printf function, scanf function and getChar, putChar, puts, gets, all the functions are included into the current program. This is called file inclusion. This is called file inclusion. Just check this PPT. It is preprocessor which is expanding the files. Okay. For example, hash include file name, hash include file name or hash include within double quotes, hash include the path also we can give here. Okay. Here hash include the entire address also, file address path also we can give here. Okay. Less than and greater than symbols means that is searching for the file whatever included here, enclosed within the angular brackets. Less than and greater than symbols are called angular brackets. Whatever you write the file name, that will be searched, into the current program. Here angular brackets means it indicates the search for the file in every subdirectory except the current directory. Okay. For example, here I am writing the stdio.h means wherever the stdio.h file is there, it searches. System will search that file except the current directory. It searches all the directories and includes into the current program. For searching point of view, we use the less than and greater than symbol. For header files means predefined file names, we give the angular brackets. For the user defined file names, we give the double quotes. For double quote, for every angular brackets replaced with double quotes also, it's nothing wrong. If the file exists in the current directory, system raises error. So, whenever you are using the angular brackets means it won't search in the current directory. Means stdio.h if it is available in the current directory, then it leads to error, though we are writing the header file here also, because it won't search in the current directory. That is the meaning of this one. Angular brackets means less than and greater than symbols are called angular brackets. It indicates search for the file in every subdirectory. That is the meaning of the angular brackets. Next, file inclusion. If the file exists in the current directory, system raises error. Next, double quotes. It indicates search for the file in every directory including the current directory. That is the meaning of the double quotes. So, you can write here, instead of writing angular brackets, you can write like this also, within double quotes also we can write. The meaning of this one is, now the system will search every directory including the current directory for the file. That is the meaning of this one. Next, A colon file name means it is search in the another file, floppy or DVD or CD. That is the meaning of A colon file name. Okay. A colon turbo to include file name means it indicates that search for the file in specific path. For example, C language is available in the C directory, and we are our file is there in a D drive, then we can give here that path. We can give that path here. For the specific path, that file will be searched, so that CPU time will be reduced. So, next to mathematical functions, we will see tomorrow. For this one, if you have any doubts, you can send a mail to me, that is rajendra.apsssdc @gmail.com. So, you can post your doubts to this mail ID. Next session we will go for some other topic. Thank you all.